This is Akashvani. In the program Spotlight, now we bring you a discussion on monsoon session of Parliament, important bills and issues. The participants are N.K. Singh, political analyst, and Sonu Sood, anchor.
The monsoon session of Parliament began today. 31 bills are likely to be taken up and many important issues are likely to be discussed. To discuss the nuances of what can be expected from this monsoon session of Parliament, we have with us political analyst Mr. N.K. Singh. Warm welcome to you on Akashvani, sir.
Thank you.
So what would you say? What are the key expectations for the monsoon session of Parliament in 2023, which has begun today, considering the prevailing political, economic climate and the government's agenda for development?
Well, given the current political situation, I don't think it's going to be a very honky-dory situation. And opposition, collective power of opposition, which has been forced very recently, I don't think this session is going to be very smooth. And there are various reasons for that. Sessions normally happen to be very stormy these days. But this session is going to be, particularly monsoon session, is going to be a little different. You have to bring in the bills, legislations, ordinance, a few ordinance, which are to be converted into bills and law. So, and they are controversial ordinances. So that is one. And then there is one which people might just forget. Cooperation bill. This cooperative bill is going to be very effective in carrying out certain development projects. But notwithstanding all these development project bills that you have, opposition will try to focus on two major issues. And one is, of course, Manipur, which is on fire. And the other one is ordinance against a Supreme Court order through which some part of Supreme Court orders were sought to be nullified in service matters in Delhi National Capital Region. So these are two bills which are very controversial and they will steal the highlight in this session. And opposition, so far as I can understand, opposition is hell-bent to ensure that this session remains highly agitated. So my understanding of the situation is that bills will be ipso facto passed. That will not be a problem because you have majority in both houses. But more than that, will there be a situation where some discussions can take place? I don't think that given the current political bickering, there is going to be very smooth discussion in the parliament. That I don't think is going to be possible in this session.
So, as you said, in politics, especially in a democracy where there are so many parties and who have equal right to assert themselves, there is always discussion, debate, and things get heated also. But the Parliamentary Affairs Minister, Prahlad Joshi, yesterday he said that 34 parties and 44 leaders participated in the all-party meeting which was convened by the government for smooth conduct of the monsoon session. Do you think that a sense of responsibility and accountability towards the country, towards the citizens who have put the government in place and who support the opposition also whenever the elections come, isn't that sense of responsibility and accountability also very important, and maybe that will enable some smooth functioning?
No, good sense should prevail on both sides. See, as a matter of fact, it's not one-way traffic. It has to be good sense from both sides. Both should develop that kind of gesture. And even opposition, for a good democracy, even opposition should ensure that issues are deliberated upon. That is the first condition in a functional democracy, that issues must be debated upon. Are you going to facilitate that debate? From both sides, from the government side, from the opposition side, the Treasury bench, opposition bench, are they in a mood to facilitate a good and very cogent conversation, discussion on the subject? It calls for a debate, a massive debate on why the situation got deteriorated to this and the kind of things have taken place, the recent video that suggests. So we can say that if we don't discuss this in parliament, where else will we discuss it? So discussion is the sine qua non of any functional democracy. But both, it has to come from both sides. Even the Treasury bench must also ensure that if there is a demand for discussion on this subject, it must be conceded, because discussion is something where you both can join. And similarly, so far as ordinance is concerned, any ordinance is clear. You have majority, you can have it clear from the majority. But then where is the scope for discussion? If you block that discussion, again, opposition will be angry. So I think that it has to come from both sides. And that yesterday meeting, all-party meeting, there was some semblance of orderliness, that there was a gesture that both want to deliberate on this subject. Well, it depends upon how the presiding officers in both houses, how they concede the demand of the both sides. Well, the demand will from both sides. It will be for the presiding officer very difficult to accommodate both demands and forge a common roadmap. I think that will be difficult for presiding officer, and if that cannot be forged, then obviously it will be a very different kind of situation. My concern is that this House must deliberate on the subject, but it has to come from both sides, president and the opposition. Good sense should prevail on both sides.
In fact, yesterday after the all-party meeting, the Parliamentary Affairs Minister said that government is ready to discuss the Manipur situation in the Parliament as per the rules and regulations. So let's hope for the best, that there is some fruitful discussion, ideas how to resolve the situation come forth. Another bill which is being presented in this monsoon for discussion and for passing is the Digital Personal Data Protection Bill 2023. It has been in the news for a long time, and it is something which affects every citizen of the country, every digitally empowered citizen of the country. How do you see the progress taking place on this bill during this monsoon session?
Well, this decision of digital bill, I think even opposition must cooperate. That is high time, because this digitization is going to be a boon for this country, particularly at a time when AI is also being brought into our system, our modus operandi, where our life will be thoroughly engrossed by IA functions. So in such a situation where artificial intelligence is going to be inseparable part of our life, digitalization, and particularly this digital bill, must be cleared with the opposition support. And I think in this matter, barring a few questions which they have, and I think they have some questions which should be answered by the government, and the apprehensions that opposition has, that should be ironed out. And I think after that, the opposition must cooperate in getting that passed. Similarly, the case is cooperative. This cooperative bill which is there, I think on those bills which are non-controversial, the opposition must act in a very positive manner, because this is a phase where technology is going to pervade the vitals of your modern life. In such a situation, any stultifying effect against the advent of technology will be counterproductive. So I think that good sense will prevail on opposition, and they will clear it. So far as controversial issues is concerned, they have their role in a democracy, and as such, if they are carrying out those roles, I don't think there is any problem, because people must be educated on issues. If they are controversial, both sides must be fully prepared to deliberate on the issue in Parliament and in the street, and that is the normal practice in democracy. So I don't think there will be any problem. But on these bills which you have referred to just now, there must be a unanimity. There must be at least concurrence on the issue.
In fact, sir, 31 bills are likely to be taken up during this session. Talking of the prominent ones, as you mentioned a little while ago, all eyes will be on the bill to replace the Government of the National Capital Territory of Delhi Amendment Ordinance 2023. How do you see how the significance of this bill and the likelihood of it being passed, and how it will benefit the entire city, the NCR?
See, as a matter of fact, I cannot question the wisdom of Supreme Court in this matter. Supreme Court has given a judgment. Now, if Parliament passes that bill, it will come into force and it will become an act. But in the previous judgment, the court had said, and very categorically the court had said, it should not disturb the federal concept of our constitution. So there may be, Supreme Court may not find it appropriate so far as federal considerations are concerned. And in a federal system, states have their own role. That is what Supreme Court had harped on in its decision. So in that case, I think the government can get it passed. The bill can be passed in Parliament, but opposition will be jointly. I think opposition is going to oppose this bill tooth and nail, and even in the street. So that is one aspect. But so far as a bill's justification is concerned, I think that Supreme Court had very categorically said that federal system, a doctrine of joint responsibility, gives the power to the elected government. That is the stock principle on which that entire edifice, this entire judgment was hinging. So here the case is that whether the government can disturb that principle, that elected government is solely responsible, doctrine of joint responsibility. So that is the question which has to be discussed. And in Parliament, I think opposition will harp on this. They will say that no, states' autonomy is in danger. That is what opposition will say. And I think sector will say no, it is just a service matter. And in service matter, there is no denying the fact that the state government had done something which was not in consonance with the established practices. So that is where the government said, oh, government, virtually the system was collapsed because of state government's high-handed attitude. That is what is the logic of the central government. So I think we will have to see how it unfolds.
So, sir, there's a wide variety of bills which are going to be taken up, which are on the agenda: Forest Conservation Amendment Bill, the National Dental Commission Bill, the National Nursing and Midwifery Commission Bill, and the Railways Amendment Bill. You feel that any Parliament session is actually very significant, you can say a platform where the regulation of the country in various fields, the regulation of the economy, the polity is decided, and that really is very, very significant, which should be appreciated by all the participants.
Yes, appreciation has a different dimensions. Even equally significant in Manipur case. Manipur issue is equally significant. Same is the case with this ordinance which you had just been talking about. So these are also equally important issues, and opposition has a role in democracy. So as such, if they are saying, yes, so far as other development bills are concerned, I have an opinion that the opposition must give up their rigidity and they should join the government in getting it passed. So far as these bills are concerned, and I don't think there is much brouhaha about it. So, barring these, there are always in democracy controversial issues. Opposition would always like to harp on that and try to flare those issues up. But the government's job is to see that Parliament functions smoothly. That is the job of the government. So, in such a case, I think so far as the laws, development bills are concerned, or financial, economic bills are concerned, those who have some kind of influence on the economy of the country, I think the opposition must behave in a different manner. But so far as controversial issues are concerned, they are at their own wisdom. They can take their course that they want. But it depends on both the Treasury bench and the opposition to see that deliberations do take place. And if deliberations do take place, it will be very fruitful for strengthening the democracy.
So development, growth and welfare of the nation, economic progress is the paramount consideration which should be there in the minds of all parliamentarians, all members of Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha. We hope that, as you said, healthy debate, discussion takes place on all issues and we see a fruitful monsoon session happening. Thank you so much, sir, for this discussion and throwing light on the various important aspects of the monsoon session which has started today.
Thank you.
You were listening to a discussion on monsoon session of Parliament, important bills and issues. The participants were N.K. Singh, political analyst, and Sonu Sood, anchor. This program was produced and presented by the News Services Division of Akashvani. You can listen to it on a mobile app, News on AIR. This program is also available on our YouTube channel, News on AIR Official. You may share your feedback about this program through email at airnsdtalks@gmail.com or WhatsApp on 9289094044.